PTA. But once they do that, I know some of the reluctance for charter schools, for some charter school leaders, it's not that they don't want to do it, but they feel that it's an additional responsibility, because then they're going to have to help the parents create this PA or PTA. That takes staff, that takes time, because, you know, some parents don't know that, you know what, you need to establish, you know, you have to get established, you have to have your bylaws, you know, you need to learn Robert's Rules of Order. You know, there's a lot that goes into, you know, just running your PTA. So for some charters, I'm sure, some school leaders haven't really done it yet because of that reason. But what we're saying as the New York Charter Parents Association to you, Mr. Dunn, is those schools that haven't done it, we are here. Because I even said in my open letter to Chancellor Klein, listen, we're not asking the charter schools to spend a penny on helping their parents establish a PA or PTA. We want them to follow the law. We will help their parents establish their PA or PTAs. We will train them. The same way I went through training for A660 and sitting on my school leadership team, that we did the trainings with Althea, granted, we're not under that. But when it comes to running a parent association, there are so many templates. Like, we can help them set up their bylaws. We can help them set up their first elections. We can help them do all of that. The only reason, as far as I'm concerned, why the charter schools are not following this, and again, you know, this is an open forum, Mr. Dunn, so we really want to know how many charter schools in New York City have actually done this and do have parent associations or parent-teacher associations 4 months later. Well, May 28th, but 4 months later since September 3rd, is because we're saying that we are here. We are the New York Charter Parents Association. We will have workshops. We'll have a workshop in every borough once a month to help the parents from the different schools get started. We'll help you. If you want to establish a 501c3, many of us have heard about district school PTAs in Manhattan, like District 1, District 2. They have PTAs, and their PTAs pay for the teaching assistants and the parents. And they have PTAs with $500,000 budgets. But you know what? Their PTAs are incorporated as 501c3s. They're not just regular PA PTAs under Chancellor's regs. They've actually incorporated so that they can go after private funding from foundations and endowments. There is nothing keeping charter school PA or PTAs, if they finally follow the law and comply with the law and respect our rights as parents to have PA PTAs, we can help them do stuff like that. You know, parents don't have to be enemies, and granted, believe me, like, I know we all have issues with our school leaders sometimes, but parents are not enemies, because we are entrusting our kids with them. You know,
so I would just say that, look, there's 40,000 parents in charter schools right now, right? Mm-hmm. We need more folks, so one thing you can do is advocate to more folks to be involved in organizations like this or others, or just to get more information. Between the 40,000 in schools and another 40,000 on wait lists, and then a proactive outreach from us to try and build new quality charter schools in the near future, then, you know, there's gonna increase the numbers, but it's still gonna pale in comparison to the actual size of the DOE. 125 schools right now. There's about 1,700 traditional DOE schools and 1.1 million kids, right? So, I mean, one is just around that, the notion of choice and getting the information out there. And Chancellor's regs, Children First Networks, all the DOE, you know, lingo around how the DOE is organized does not apply to charter schools. It's the accountability that they get, and with that, they should be held accountable. So I do agree that they should provide more information. They should reflect any of the needs that they're looking for, that the parents are looking for as well. And it shouldn't be an us versus them. It's not, you know, CMOs, a community charter management organization, mom, pop, whatever. It's all people. It's all adults running programs for kids, right? And we want the best outcomes for all of our children. And one setting may fit your child, may not fit another. And so I think just getting that information out there, and some people are signing up for schools just based on what they heard or second or third hand, and we encourage people to go to schools, visit, try and do open houses, tour the school, ask these questions, ask about the turnover of teachers, ask about the philosophy, ask about how they're going to engage the parents, ask about the discipline code, ask about all these things first, and also just look around and get a sense for who's on staff and what they look like and what it is they're got, what their qualifications are. I mean, you can ask those things. None of these things are outlandish things for you to ask for your children and advocate for. And for us, it's also just trying to make sure that wherever you're going to get your information, that people at least try and coalesce around the same points, because otherwise it's just going to be noise, especially when it comes from multiple people disagreeing on pieces, right? And charter schools get a lot of attention, but they're still relatively small in this city. So I think just whether it's here, whether it's anywhere else, just make sure that folks understand and we break down some of the myths around charter schools taking over or anything like that. These are public dollars following, kids. It's our money going to fund these schools. They can raise money just like other schools can. They can do private fundraising as well. Most of the stuff is public information that you can find out about them as well and advocate on how they're using it.
Well, for us, especially, for NYCPA, being that we push that the law change that every charter in New York City be required to have a PA or PTA, and we know that you can't speak for SUNY because we already had Jonas in the chair.
I don't have the answer. So the direct answer, I don't have the answer on how many charters currently have PTAs.
For those
Would I like to find out? Absolutely.
But for those that don't, well, this is our question, and this is my question. For those that do not have PA or PTAs, this letter is clear. The law that's cited in this letter by Chancellor Klein is clear. So you, as the authorizer of DOE authorized charter schools, what are you going to do to ensure that immediately these schools establish PA or PTAs in their schools? Because you are the authorizer.
Thanks for reminding me.
So this is your responsibility.
So this is what we should do. One, there's a bunch of things in the law. If you haven't read the law, the amended law, read it, because it has a bunch of things in there. And are we in full compliance with every piece in there? No. Would we like to be? Absolutely.
But what are you going to
But
do?
about this, I mean, we want to know about the
so
parent
what we've told the
associations and
parents, the charter schools who are either directly authorized by us or co-located in DOE buildings, that they should have a PTA or a parent-teacher association. And now on our annual site visits, which haven't started up yet, these are things we'll be checking for when we do all the annual site visits. We do annual site visits for all the schools that are authorized by us that are not up for normal renewal.
Okay, but then
Just the DOE authorized schools. So the 69 schools, so just as we were mentioning before, SUNY did put out a statement against what the chancellor's what the chancellor can and can't do around that. And so that is another fight as well. So just to be clear, because we put out this correspondence, they disagreed, and that's within their prerogative as an authorizer to do. What we said is even if you are a SUNY school and you're co-located in a DOE building, we can require this. So for our DOE authorized schools, this will be something we're checking for on our annual visits. And then also when we do pop-in visits, which are usually after the annual visits, this is something else we'll also be checking for as well to make sure that it's something they're in compliance with. This among tons of other things. It's not the only thing we're going in.
But for us, you're saying that when you do your annual visit, or when you do, no, the law, you're the authorizer and the law is clear. So, I mean, parents, obviously the schools haven't notified parents that they're required by law or that they received this letter. So we know that the schools haven't done that. But for you to say that you're going to check up on it when you do your annual visit or when you do a pop-in, no. We want parents to know that as of September 3rd, or as of right now, that they're supposed to have parent associations and they have a right to it. But
the chancellor's clear what you want. The mayor's clear what you want. I realize that, but I'm telling you what my plan is to put in place. My plan is to staff up my office. My plan is to make sure I have the capacity to go do this.
So then this is not a priority.
And my plan is to go. My plan is to make sure.
Not a priority.
My plan is to make sure teaching and learning is happening effectively at every school.
Okay, we're going to just ask your question, Miss.